All right. Welcome back
Yeah.
to the Just Juice podcast.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it has been a little bit. Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, holidays, World Cup, summertime vacations.
Yeah.
All the.
Yeah, World Cup has been fun.
Indeed.
But yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
And you had a trip?
I did have a trip. Yeah, so went up to Whistler for my cousin's 40th birthday. And yeah, I mean, Whistler is a beautiful area. If you haven't been or have the chance to go or have been, like, I've never been to Whistler in the summer, and it's just super pretty.
Mm-hmm.
The sun came out for a couple of days that we were there, but even otherwise, like, it's also just like a really big difference from what we have here in Vegas. So, like, beautiful mountains, beautiful lakes, lots of trees and greenery.
Yeah. Things that are alive. Right?
Yeah, things that are alive. What do you mean? You mean our rocks aren't alive?
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
The one or two lizards we cross paths with.
The scorpions. But it's just a really beautiful area. And so we were a little bit close to Whistler Village. Yeah, it was a great time. And so while I was up there, decided to put together a little, not tasting, but put together the group of wines for my cousins and everyone who was up there. And I'd been to the BC wine area before.
Yeah.
But it's always just kind of surprised me as a great little region that doesn't export much, or any, I think, outside of Canada, especially, I think, not to the U.S. But it's always struck me as just like a really nice little wine area that has some really great stuff. So I chose one. Mm-hmm. I have no idea if this is going to be any good or not, because we were, in Whistler, there's not a ton of, like, kind of big grand wine shop sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of smaller liquor stores. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really find anything there that I wanted to bring back. And on the way out in the airport, in the Vancouver airport, I was like, I feel like I should just bring something for us to try live. And was going through the duty-free shop, and I was like, all right, let's get this Chardonnay from the Okanagan Valley and see if it's any good. So it could be terrible, it could be great. We will find out.
Right. And I think we often talk about just trying to try something new, grab something off the shelf, like, go for it. And, like, sometimes you can glean things off the label that'll help kind of give you an idea, especially if you haven't tasted or haven't seen it. And I've been studying wine for almost 20 years, and, like, I've come across, like, 2 bottles of Canadian wine, and the ones that I
not very frequent.
Yeah, and the stuff that I actually study and know is actually more over by Niagara Escarpment, and they make some very famous and really well regarded, like, sweet wine and ice wine and dessert wine. Yeah. The Cab Franc, I hear, is getting better and better and better, but I hear a lot about BC as well. Like, British, like, it just.
Well, I think it's interesting because, and we experience this with German wines too. A lot of people assume, like, a lot of ice wine because it's a cold region, right? Mm-hmm. And especially in BC, like, it's been getting warmer and warmer and warmer every year. And apparently they don't make much, if any, ice wine anymore. I'm sure there's some that some make, but it's pretty heavy. I think it's Chardonnay, Riesling, Pinot Noir, kind of the main 3. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do some, like, Cab Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah in, like, specific areas, I think. It's pretty, like, Riesling, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir heavy. Yeah, is what you'll find there.
And I picture it, and once again, it's like I haven't traveled there, I haven't seen it myself, but, like, I always picture it's just like everything is super lush and green and wet and cold in Canada, right? Like that's just as soon as you cross the border, that must be what the whole entire country looks like, right?
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
but then when you actually start to kind of like look at it and think about it and follow it and stuff like that, much like Washington, right? Like Seattle is so wet out at the coast. So Vancouver on the coast, super wet, but you come west and there are more desert-y, drier regions. And then, the grapes that grow in Washington on that side are Cabernets, Syrahs, Merlots. They do have their outposts of Rieslings and Chardonnays and stuff like that. So to think that region carries up and above Washington makes a ton of sense. Every single grape that you said.
I don't know too much about the geography, but the Okanagan Valley, there's a big lake there, and then there's a river that when we were there anyway, a lot of the vineyards are kind of up against, right? And it kind of reminded me a little bit of mix of like what you see in Rhone Valley and like Moselle River area.
Pretty steep
sort of thing.
hillsides.
Yeah, where there's like not nearly as steep as Moselle River area. Those, you see photos of those and they look like they're vertical.
They are, they're death traps.
And then, but maybe not as grand maybe as Rhone Valley. Rhone Valley seems to have these massive like hills
dramatic
and plateaus and so it kind of seemed in the middle of that.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't know it was that dramatic of a landscape.
Yeah, it was pretty not steep, but like everything seemed to. I guess it looked like 20 million years ago. The whole thing was underwater and was a much bigger, kind of underground slope. And as that got less and less and less, it kind of carved these like kind of gradual-ish slopes into the river area. And, same sort of thing where I think some of the more well-known or coveted plots of land are kind of at a bend in the river, right, where a lot of minerals and stuff have been deposited. So it's just a really pretty area. And like when we were there, again, it was this, in the Okanagan Valley, this was years ago for a wedding for my cousin was getting married in Penticton. And it was really pretty. It was like sunny. It was pretty warm. It was, I think it was like around 80 degrees or something.
Oh yeah.
And enough to like, everyone was sweating in their suits sort of thing. But it was a really beautiful day and like days, and the, cloud cover would come in and out, kind of sprinkle with rain and kind of leave sort of thing. So a lot less like, I don't know, cold and frigid as I thought it would be. Maybe that's a preconceived notion.
Indeed, but that's what I picture, and I think I had a very similar experience in Germany as well. Like we were there towards the end of the summer, and like I was legitimately hot. Like it was warm and it was muggy and it was like surprising. I thought I could wear a light jacket and pants and stuff like that, but I'm just like really hot.
Yeah,
like fanning myself almost the whole time. But then the way you speak of it, like those kind of like angles and those curves in the rivers and all of that seems like really, really similar. You get, the reflection from the light and plus that aspect from the sun down, helps mitigate all those. And then water, the way it retains heat and like tempers even the nighttime temperature stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would genuinely love to go explore.
It's a beautiful
the
area.
Wine region a lot.
Yeah, really. I mean, BC in general, like British Columbia in general, is just such a beautiful area. The Vancouver's a very pretty city, but like especially if you want to get out of the city, basically like anywhere north of Vancouver and east and northeast is just beautiful area.
Yeah,
and like pretty quickly too, from Whistler north, you just kind of get out into the wilderness pretty easily. whether you like that or not, like,
Yeah.
it's, pretty quick you get into just like gorgeous area of Canada. So yeah, I think, again, I was up there, wanted to try something, figured, let's take a chance on this on this airport wine. Wine they sold in an airport, not necessarily airport wine. And like, let's see.
Which I love because obviously I can look at the bottle.
What do you glean from the bottle?
I can kind of, and like I spoke a little bit about my preconceived notions. I didn't realize some of the vineyards in River area was as dramatic, and that it's genuinely getting that much warmer in the area as well. So Perpetua Chardonnay. So I mean, it's a VQA, so it's the highest level of geographic designation within Canada, right? Like this isn't just Canada wine, right? Like this is like getting to Napa, but also specifically getting to like Oakville or, so it's not quite.
I didn't even know Canada had designations of wine.
The VQA is theirs. It's unique to Canada in their van quality agriculture, something along those lines. And then you get to the back label, and it's sourced from 2 single vineyards of theirs. Okay, so you're focusing on single sites and plots and vineyards, and you're probably some of your better fruit is going into that if you're going to name 2 vineyard sites. These are French Dijon clones.
Dijon, isn't that a mustard?
for most of us, but even like some of the red clones, Dijon is a famous Burgundian city for wine, and there's
and mustard
potentially as well. I don't know if there's a huge mustard crop there. Maybe there is, but like Pommard as well is like a village with a clone name that they have brought to the States and make, and that they'll splash on names and stuff like that.
What does Pommard mean? Isn't it like apple or something?
Pomme de terre is apple.
Yeah, I don't know French, so I'm just guessing at this point.
I always remembered apple. I like it because it's potato of the earth.
Potato of the earth.
Yeah, pomme de terre. So,
wait. Aren't potatoes in the earth?
I know. Maybe I have it backwards. Maybe a potato is a pomme de terre, and then a pomme is an apple.
There is.
So then Pommard could be.
This. What we're doing right now.
Apple of the earth. Yeah.
Is we are getting more viewership by people who are going to be super angry at us.
Like, holy shit!
No idea what we're talking about.
French is terrible.
French is terrible. Good. That means comment a lot on the videos. Yeah. And
I said Dijon. I got that pronounced. But then the other, so fermented Syrah, 16 months. And then here's the kind of cool part. So French oak barrique, Puncheons, which is a large barrel.
Okay.
So barriques are usually 225, 228 liters.
Okay.
And a Puncheon is usually 500-600. Somewhere close. And then also concrete eggs.
Oh, interesting.
Which is definitely like more modern take on things. So initially, what I kind of thought might be looking at the bottle and thinking the area like something rich and oaky. Maybe this is a little bit more reserved and a little style.
What does concrete eggs do to the taste?
It's a real. Constant in temperature and subtle fermentation. The concrete is still slightly porous, nowhere near as much as oak, but also it allows temperature fluxes because they're normally that egg shape, smaller at the top, fatter at the bottom, unless you're doing an inverted egg, which people are experimenting with as well. But this will start a circulation and flow of the wine through it, so you can do this Syrah aging without having to open it and physically stir all those leaves.
I see.
And
it kind of stirs itself.
Yeah, but very, very gently. And so this, gives you that texture and the style, much less ingress and exposure to oxygen. So you keep some of those brighter, crisper flavors and maybe a little more acidity. But concrete eggs have become extremely fun. Pretty much any cellar, even up and down through Napa, like you poke your head around in the barrel room, you're going to find a concrete egg somewhere in there these days.
So based on what you just said, I would imagine that this has a decent amount of oak because you said both smaller and larger barrels.
But that's where if it had stopped at barrique, I would think this is going to be really oaky and really buttery.
But then,
stopped at barrique, right? Like it
Right,
stopped
right,
there. But Puncheon is still like the size, so the surface area to water and oak that touches, the impact is considerably less.
Got it.
And Puncheons you usually use for a really, really, really long time, right? You're not buying brand new Puncheons per vintage. Your oak is already kind of been flavored or, extracted. So you have two of the fermentation vessels not imparting huge parts of oak.
Yeah.
So you just your barrique. And then it didn't even say how much new barrique, right? Even those barriques could be 1 to 3 times used barrels as well. So
got it. So I'd imagine this has a decent amount of oak with still a little bit of like brightness, a little bit of like kind of freshness from the concrete egg.
Yep.
Got it.
Like, and that's what the first note's like. Okay, there is an impression of oak, but not necessarily an impression of butter, right?
There's I don't know what it is. There's a bright note in the smell.
I think the apple is still really crisp. It's like green apple.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's so annoying,
it's like
by the way.
Borderline green apple, yellow apple.
Yeah, it's also really annoying to me when I'm like, oh, it's something. I know what it is. And then someone's like, oh, it's an apple. I'm like, of course that's what it is.
But I'm not putting words in your mouth. It's all right.
Okay.
Right?
It's definitely got a little bit of oak to it, but there's definitely a green apple freshness, tartness to it at the end. It's not.
I mean,
it's not the oak bomb that you might
exactly expect. Right. Like I start thinking initially, and especially like I'm not positive what this representation is from this winery, and is it going to be the very like new worldy, big, flamboyant, like just kind of like Chardonnay that is but pleasantly surprising. Like this is in the best way. Like this is quite delightful.
I feel like there's a little bit of the new worldy sort of thing, but also then a little bit of, I don't know what you call it.
Enough hands off and enough restraint. Right?
Yeah, a little bit of like reserved was what I was going to say. It's not like all in your face.
This wasn't
bold.
This doesn't just. Chardonnay can super easily and super quickly just wear the winemaker's handprint. Right? Like there's an intent and there's a thought and there's a purpose to X, Y, and Z, and you produce X, Y, and Z, right? Like so this winemaker, obviously is making it in a style that they prefer and like looking for these kind of like characters, but I don't find it heavy-handed.
Yeah. This is nice. I think the more that I drink it, the more that I, smell it, the more that it kind of sits in the glass too. The apple is a lot more prominent and the brightness is a lot more prominent than I thought it would be, but it still has an underlying like smoothness to it, like richness to it a little bit. I feel like it's got a pretty good range.
And these are like, not lessons, but like if I was in the airport in Canada and it was like my last moment to try and buy a bottle of wine, I probably would have breezed past that.
Yeah.
Looking at like, oh, okay, I'm not really sure. I can read the label and look on the back and like, oh, I'm not really sure. But, and not that I'm like one of the ABC, like anything but Chardonnay people. But I'm much more particular about Chardonnay and the styles and the wines that I like made from Chardonnay than so many other grapes. So, as much as I try and say, try something new. And like, I would have breezed past it and here it is delightful.
Honestly, I almost did breeze past it because I don't know, my preconceived, pretentious notions as well were like, well, I didn't find anything in the liquor stores that I was like super excited about. A little bit disappointed about that. Going into the airport, they're just going to give us in the airport just the regular stuff that you can kind of find anywhere, and it's not going to be super interesting and all that. And then I was like looking through them, and I was like, I don't even know like how to choose something, right? So honestly, I chose by price. I didn't want it to be too expensive. This wasn't super expensive. I think it was around like $40 US, something like that, 40, 45 US. And then, I was just kind of, after that, it was just like, here are two that look kind of interesting. I have no idea whether these are going to be good or not. I'll check like the apps for ratings, and they're both about the same.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, well, now I really don't know. So I'll just choose that. I think I was like, this one's got a cool label because it's metallic. So I'll go with that one. Maybe it's not the best way to choose, but I think a lot of people choose like that too.
We do, and it has to be taken into effect, because I know my wife has mentioned that many times, and a lot of the bottles that friends have brought over to the house as well. I was like, I didn't know what it was, but it was a nice label. And I'm like,
right, totally, it's a fun label, so I'll take it. But yeah, I think it's a take a chance, choose it. This could have been a total dud, but I don't think it's. I don't know if this is like if this were a tasting and I tasted this one, I'd be like, "Ooh, I need to take this home."
Yeah.
But now that we have it, I'm like, this is pretty interesting. And at the very least, it makes me more interested in like the BC wine region to go and try other stuff as well.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's, ultimately what in the wine industry we want is like just try wine, taste wine. And I think you also were in a $40, right? Like,
it was around $40.
It's not necessarily every single day
Totally
wine, but at that price point, the quality, like the threshold, like the experience, even if it was an more oaky and buttery style, if it was cougar juice, it would you would probably still feel a certain amount of quality here. Like, and I feel like it is worth the dollars spent on this bottle of wine.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a lot more one note. So just, I don't know, just oaky or just buttery or just bright or just, especially too, like I thought, okay, maybe colder region, typically more Pinot and Riesling. Maybe this one will be a little bit brighter instead of like richer. But I thought it was going to be a little bit more one note. Yeah. Right. I thought it was going to be either bright, acidic, apple, whatever, or it was going to be oaky, buttery sort of thing. And this has got kind of both. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Works well. And then I brought.
Yeah. What is this? What is this that you brought?
To juxtapose, like, as a style of Chardonnay that I do like to drink. So I grabbed a Chablis. And it's just a village, Chablis. It's not Premier Cru or Grand Cru. It's not necessarily a named site. It says it's old vines, But for me, Chablis was the very first like white wine that really made sense. And I was like, oh, wow, wine can taste like this. And then they're like, aha, it's Chardonnay. And you're like, man, thank you for proving me wrong. But
so this, I'm going to look weird and I'm going to sniff them next to each other. Yeah, like next to each other, this Chablis definitely brighter, a little bit less powerful, like a little bit more subtle.
Yeah. I think more focused, linear.
Yeah.
Like it's like the nose is a little bit more direct. The lime and lemon, citrus, might pop a little bit more than like the apple notes on it.
Yeah, and also next to each other. It's always interesting how this works. Like next to each other, I get a lot more oak on the Canadian one than I did originally. Like I definitely got oak, but it wasn't like next to this one. I'm assuming there's no oak. Okay,
yeah, no.
So like no oak versus oak. The oak really stands
all of a sudden
out.
like now I know you're there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like this Chablis has almost only the bright notes, like the brighter notes that the Canadian one has. Like, it's got more fruity, acidic, like almost floral kind of nature to it, versus this one that has that, but also has like the oaky richness to it as well.
Yeah, I like them today because it's like in this part of like choose your own adventure, like I think there's more complexity in the Canadian wine, and the palate I think is a little bit more.
Too, yeah.
I think a little bit more enjoyable. Whereas like in a normal atmosphere, hands down, if you put those two side by side, and these are my two Chardonnays that I have to choose from side by side on the shelf. You know, same exact price point. You know, everything else.
You'll reach for the Chablis every day.
I would have pulled the Chablis and say I'm going to be a happy guy because I got my Chablis, and the Chablis would give me what I'm looking for. But today, right now, tasting these and next to it, like it falls shorter on the palate, and I think the use of the barrique and the concrete eggs. And you know the region brings out a happy kind of like roundness on the palate.
Yeah, more dimension to it.
Yeah,
not that the Chablis is bad by any means. Like this is a really nice. Like it feels like I don't know, it's 113 outside, so like it feels like a summer day. Like I don't know if any wine really works for 113 degree weather, but it feels much more like a summer wine, right? And to your point, maybe it's like a I don't know, drink a little bit more leisurely. You don't have to think about it as much, sort of thing. Versus the Canadian one feels, I don't know, a little bit more special is the wrong word because they're both really good, but like more like a nice dinner wine, sort of thing.
It's giving more.
Makes sense.
And if anything, it's like the nose of the Chablis and the palate of the Canadian. Like if we could slice these two together in that fashion, then
you're right.
Both of them would step up just a little bit more. So whatever impression you get, you know, especially as it warms just a touch too, right? Like,
the Canadian one. The smell is a lot more oak dominating. It's
now that we come back to it after the Chablis.
Yeah, especially after you come back to it after the Chablis. But like the taste is not the same as the smell of it, right? Like the smell is much more complex than I think the taste is much more complex than the smell kind of lets on, sort of thing.
Yeah. Fun little adventures in wine.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is great. I genuinely did not expect to like it that much. Again, taking a chance, going into an airport of all places, going to the duty-free shop, which I, wouldn't necessarily expect to find anything incredible. But also I feel like speaks to the skill of the winemakers in the region as well, right? Like, I feel like not too many people outside of Canada anyway, have been able to really try a lot of Canadian wines.
Genuinely my first Canadian Chardonnay, and like I said, I've been tasting thousands of wines for years now.
But this is pretty interesting.
The first one to taste and come across.
Yeah. Huh. That's pretty cool. So like how, I don't know, if you were in my position, what would you have done? What would have been your, like, I'm in this new place, I want to try something. What do you reach for, and like how do you think about it?
The openness, right? Like I mean maybe the best comparison I can make was one of my trips in Australia, right? Like I intently was like, I'm going to try and drink as much like white while I'm here, right? And I was particularly interested in Tasmania. So at the shop, if there was something Tasmanian, I was like, I'm gonna grab it, like, and I'm gonna read the label. I'm gonna get my best assumption that I can based upon any information here at all, but I'm curious about and so some of that comes from my knowledge background, right? Like studying Australia and being interested in Tasmania. So same thing. I think like Okanagan and BC, like curious about Okanagan. So not being super familiar with the fact that Syrahs and Merlots are grown, I would probably gravitate to reds in that fashion. Like, because I'd be like, I want to see what this cool climate Syrah gives me, you know, or are they making a more fruit dominant style of Syrah here? Will this remind me of the Rhone or Washington or Central California or Australian Shiraz? Like, what does this remind me of? So,
by the way, Syrah, and I'm blending the words, Syrah and Shiraz, they're the same thing?
Same grape.
Same grape.
Yeah.
Just different pronunciation.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. and you will find some Aussie producers using Syrah, and they're trying to say that we are not making what has been preconceived to be as the typical Aussie Shiraz style of kind of like big fruit, big alcohol, very like Australian.
I see. So even Shiraz has some characteristics to it that you would find typical.
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All of this is potential. I think like when we were in Burgundy years ago, they were like, if it's white, it is a Chardonnay unless it's not. And so everything has it's this
except for
when it's not.
Yeah. And one of the challenges to be experimental in wine is because like trends that come and go, and like you become used to one thing and you expect one thing, and like even as we talked about cougar juice and stuff, and some of the shifts in California away from big buttery oaky, you know, textured Chardonnays to something a little bit more svelte.
Yeah, interesting. So like you would just be like, whatever, I'm just going to grab something off the shelf and I'm going to try it. I'm assuming like,
especially
there are also some like duds that you've had doing that as well.
It happens. And, you know, hopefully you're with a group of people.
Fair. So you can just all drink it.
I can pawn that one off. But in regions like that where, you know, because like if I travel to Washington or Oregon, like I'm pretty well versed in a lot of the producers. So I'll in a region like that, I might try and focus in on a producer I haven't heard of versus just a style or a grape, you know, and like California, and like there's always going to be producers that you don't know, period. Like you can never know them all, but to be so kind of like widely unfamiliar with that as a region, I think that's where the grape pulls me in, and I'm like, I want to see what Syrah here tastes like or can taste like, you know, and start forming that kind of opinion.
That makes sense. I mean, it's an interesting point that you bring up about Syrah as well, because one of my cousins, when we were up at the birthday party, he was like, I only drink or typically drink Spanish reds and like Napa Sonoma red sort of thing. I was like, okay, big, bolder, maybe a little bit more tannic, something like that. I found I think it was a Canadian Syrah while we were up there that I had him try, and it was much kind of smoother, rounder. It felt like a little bit of like a Chateauneuf de Pape, but without the like crazy complexity that some of those have.
In the barnyard.
In the barnyard, the cow shit. That was episode 1. I think we were talking about that, wasn't it? Yeah, the cow shit. You still have not brought me a wine that smells and or tastes like cow shit, but in a good way.
All right, I will. I know.
Maybe I shouldn't have reminded you.
It made me think of like a producer specifically immediately. Like
Maybe I shouldn't have reminded you about this. But But yeah, I found a Syrah that I thought could be pretty good. He was like, "Oh my god, I love this. What is it?" And I was like, "It's a Syrah," and he was like, "What?" So I think like that notion of test the boundaries, try new stuff. You're not always going to get something great, but try something new is definitely true.
Even if you're a dilettante feigning to know everything in the world about wine, like I do, it's like you can know everything in the world, but you still never know what's in the You can gain those assumptions of what might the juice be in the bottle, but
Totally.
It's always an experiment for us too, and I think the playful and fun and interesting part of it all. Like if everything just tasted the same, if I had a cellar of just one single producer, I think that would be an extremely boring life of wine.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you've done this to me a couple times now, where I'm like, I'm not, that into Napa Reds and stuff like that, and you brought me something. I'm like, wow, this is really good. And you're like, it's a Napa Red. I'm like, damn it.
You gotta test those notions all the time.
For sure.
Push the boundaries.
So what do you think you would pair with either of these?
I think the Canadian one, you can do a couple of things, right? Like a cheesy pasta, not necessarily an Alfredo or one that represents like a lemony or bright kind of spring vegetables, like be it peas or something along those lines. I think it still has enough like weight and richness for like a carbonara as well to cut through some of that pancetta or bacon fat, but that has that creaminess and yolkiness to it in that fashion. I think grilled chicken skewers and kebabs and stuff like that, I mean, even like tzatziki and cucumber salad could be really like fun pairing with this.
Speaking of kebabs and tzatziki and all that, I'll have to find it. But I went to a really good Mediterranean place yesterday. I'm gonna
close to here.
Yeah, close to here is
Elia.
I don't think that was it.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna find it real quick because I want to give it a shout out to anybody who is looking for Mediterranean places. But it's called Sofra Taverna. This little shop in a strip mall, because in Vegas everything is in a strip mall, next to a nail salon and I think a Mexican restaurant. But yeah, Sofra Taverna. It's a really cute little place, and they made like everything by hand. The hummus was great.
Nice.
The I don't know. I feel like a lot of places with their chicken kebabs do get like really dry, but this wasn't. This was really good, and yeah, everything they had there was great. So Sofra Taverna, if you anybody listening wants to give it a try.
It can so easily just be like the very chainy, like all the gyro looks the same and tastes the same,
Totally.
and like the salad mix is like predictable.
Yeah.
Right, so finding one that feels a little bit more authentic and legit.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I've had not great luck with some of the places here. One place gave me like really bad night sort of stomach issues thing, but this one was really good, really fresh. So Sofra Taverna, if anybody's listening and who's here and wants to try it, it's great. But yeah, I agree. Like thinking about some of the flavors that we were eating yesterday, like this would be a great one to go with.
Yeah. Whereas the Chablis, maybe not. Like maybe with like the lemon soup that you can get at some, but like this, I would almost go more like a shrimp or a delicate whitefish and like a caper kind of butter sauce. I feel like the Chablis is a little bit more focused with the flavors. I mean, there's the very classic kind of like go-to like oyster and shenanigans like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but yeah, I feel like the Canadian's got a wider breadth of flavor profiles and styles.
More stuff that you can pair with it.
Yeah.
Again, not that the Chablis is bad. This is it's really good. I can feel, that we've been talking a lot about like acid versus tannins and stuff like that. I can feel the acid a little bit more on the tongue. Not like super sharp, but it's, it exists. It's there.
Yeah. Very, very, where the roundedness and I would have to, I don't know, I'd have to do a little research because I see the fermentation vessels and I don't know if like it's full mallow. I really wouldn't think there's full malolactic fermentation, which is that change from malic acid, which is sharp, harsh, like very, very astringent, to lactic acid, thinking butter, milk, cream, a softer version of acid. Yeah. Nice little juxtaposition.
Yeah, this worked out really well. It continues to like evolve as well. So it's gotten a little bit, I feel like it's gotten a little bit softer as it's kind of, been sitting and we've been talking as well.
There's so much more in when a glass brings you back to it, like that, one of my other infamous kind of like sayings, it changes from beverage alcohol to an experience, right? And it makes you interested. It makes you curious. If you're just drinking to imbibe and get too intoxicated, like, cool, honestly, like it'll still get the job done.
Yeah.
But each time you come back to it, there's something more and it gives you a little bit, like it makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit like when you were talking about the Chablis being a little bit more linear, I was like, okay, I can kind of understand what you mean. I don't like quite fully comprehend what you mean. But as these have been sitting and as I've kind of gone back and forth, the Chablis hasn't changed too much. Like it is a focused amount of flavors and scents that has largely stayed the same since we've been sitting here versus the Canadian one, which you get something slightly different as, it sits and as it goes from colder to warmer, as, more oxygen has hit it sort of thing. Yeah. So I start to understand what you mean by linear versus non-linear.
It's like on a spectrum, right? Like you go from like laser focused where it's like a razor line and then it can broaden on your palate. And then you can get way into like flabby and fattened where there's just like too much. Yeah. So finding that, and there can be something enjoyable in that whole spectrum.
Yeah.
But getting the balance of all of those things, because sometimes I want something that, that linear, straight, sharp is like, okay, that's cool. And then sometimes that bigger, weightier, heavier is just kind of like, what I'm eating and we're just hanging out and everything about this is, but fighting from that, to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found that, like, I think remembering when we were in the Okanagan Valley with my cousin, like, for his wedding, trying to remember, like, the places that we went. And there were some that were a little bit more linear, which was fine. There were some that were just kind of like, it's a little, I don't know, watery, not super, like, interesting. But then there were a good amount that were pretty complex and really interesting, and kind of like this one, which is evolves over time and stuff. And so, yeah, I guess maybe like it's too bad that we can't get more of these Canadian wines here in the U.S. Because I think they're generally pretty small production. Yeah, like we were talking about Japan, right? Like generally pretty small production and don't export. Apparently, some of them don't even export outside of British Columbia.
Well, because I think you were talking about the Japanese. It was only like 2 or 3 barrels. So I mean, you're talking like 1,000, less than 1,000 bottles of wine. Yeah. So the paperwork involved to export it versus and if if you have Canada is another interesting because they're a state controlled when it comes to alcohol, so the state sells all the alcohol. So if the domestic market they spread it out and there's demand from East Coast to West Coast, Yeah,
Right.
why bother with all the annoying paperwork to get
Paperwork, yeah, for sure.
Get it somewhere
Paperwork,
else.
figuring out like
logistics,
shipping across the
and
border,
having
figuring
someone
out, yeah.
sell it for you once,
Right, right.
because it could just end up in somebody's, some broker or distributor's warehouse that doesn't give a crap about it, and then
Totally.
it dies.
Yeah.
So it can get really, really complicated. So I do want to experience more. I do want to see more. I personally have it on the list to travel to and kind of like check out and do. But it would be great if we could actually buy some and have some here and broaden the horizon.
That's what we need to do, a podcast from the Okanagan Valley in Canada.
Cool. I'll carry all the equipment.
You're like, I'm there. Let's go.
Problem. We're going. We're talking to a winemaker.
Yeah. It's that would be fun. We need bigger sponsors for that.
Yeah.
Any sponsors for that?
It's still worth the adventure.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, so maybe that's the moral of the story is try something new. Grab something off the shelf that you haven't seen before, and it might be a dud, but honestly, I thought this was going to be like a dud. I thought we were going to be like, this is just general stuff, not that interesting, but it turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, just like looking at it too. I mean, I love it. That's why I still am doing wine and in wine and work with wine, right?
Yeah.
Like I can
Always
something new every day.
new, yeah.
Be surprised, be happy, and then hopefully not. Drink too much of it by the end of the day.
Or do. And then
If it's a
fine.
weekend.
Yeah, if it's a weekend, yeah. I mean, we started at 11 a.m. Today, so
10 wines, 10 a.m.
we're getting there.
I like it. Cheers.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing that back. That was fun.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to find a destination and bring another surprise bottle.
Yeah, it's going to be sake again. I'm going to be like, this wine is so weird. Because it's not. It's sake.
Nope. Now that I did it to you, you're going to hone right in on it. You're going to be like, because now your next instinct, this isn't wine, is going to be like, oh, this isn't wine.
Yeah,
I got it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I was kicking myself after that. I was like, I can't believe I did not figure out that was sake. But here we are.
Yeah.
All right, which one are we cheersing with?
The
Canadian one.
because we're not going to have this one again.
That's true.
Cheers. Appreciate it.